Call this Altoona City Council meeting to order Monday, November 10th at 6 p.m. We will now have a moment of silent prayer. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Linda, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Beatty?
Here.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Here.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Here.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Here.
Councilman Ickes?
Here.
Councilman Kelly?
Here.
Mayor Pacifico?
Here. We have a presentation on the agenda tonight, the 2024 audit report. And joining us is Chris Shyrock from Yobco.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Chris Shyrock from Young Oaks Brown and Company. Just want to start out by saying thank you to Mayor and Council for having us complete the audit, and thanks to Jim and the remaining staff for all their help throughout the audit. Our auditor's report, it's on all the opinions that relate directly to the city operations were unmodified or clean opinions, so that's the best opinion you can receive. The statement of net position, which includes all assets and liabilities of the city, capital assets, long-term liabilities, the net pension and OPEB liabilities. The net position of the city at the end of 2024 was $479 million. Of this amount, $502,000 was invested in capital assets and restricted, and then there was an unrestricted portion that was negative $23 million. Moving on to the statement of activities that goes along with the net statement of net position, sort of like the income statement. The change in net position for the year ended was $48 million. 19.7 of that was related to being invested in capital assets. Moving on to the balance sheet for the governmental funds, this reports only current assets and current liabilities of the city. The general fund balance as of 12/31/24 is $18.4 million, and the total fund balance of the city, including all funds, was $46.7 million. The statement of revenues, expenditures, and change in fund balance, the general fund showed an increase in fund balance of $3.2 million, whereas the total change of all the funds of the city was a little over $9 million. Going to move on to the budget to actual. The city budgeted for the general fund for 2024 a surplus of $1.2 million before transfers, but the actual results was a loss of $104,000. Overall expenditures were approximately $2 million under budget, but revenues were also under budget by $3.3 million. So there's detail in the audit regarding that. I want to talk about the federal expenditures of the city. Total federal expenditures for 2024 were a little over $19 million. We performed single audits on the major federal programs of the city, which were the coronavirus, state and local fiscal recovery funds, and the community development block grants. The total of those two funds' federal expenditures for the year were a little over $18 million. So out of the $19 million, our single audits was almost 95% of those total expenditures. Obviously, we didn't look at every expenditure in those, but based on sampling forms and the required procedures we had to perform, we're happy to report that there was no findings or question costs related to those single audits. Last thing I want to mention, there were two financial statement findings noted that are repeat from prior years. When I stood here last year, there was 3 findings. The city was able to remedy one of those, so now we're down to 2, and they're making efforts to get rid of the last 2. Those are the comments I have on the report. I'll try to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Chris?
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks, you too. All right, we'll open the floor for public comment. If anybody would like to address council, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Lawrence Carter, 1105 Broadway. The Immigration Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has been conducting raids nationwide in America's municipalities, enforcing immigration laws and arresting illegal aliens. Local government is not responsible for enforcing immigration laws, and some Pennsylvania municipalities are passing ordinances limiting their cooperation with ICE because they have no information about their resident citizenship or immigration status. Allentown, Lancaster, and Philadelphia have passed such ordinances or are passing. ICE may seek a contract relationship with Altoona's police to assist in their activities. Our police department is already understaffed and busy enforcing local laws and issuing criminal warrants. Assisting ICE would greatly diminish our officers' local efforts. The Department of Justice attempted to withhold grant funds from Philadelphia for limiting their cooperation with ICE, but the city prevailed in court because it has a constitutional right to control how local resources are used. Federal statutes do not require local government to take any specific action to cooperate with ICE or inquire about local residents' immigration status. Local law enforcement should not allow ICE to access a person already in custody without a judicial warrant. This would not prevent ICE from carrying out their immigration enforcement activities or prevent local law enforcement from releasing illegal immigrants already incarcerated. Altoona's economy is fueled by medical establishments, many owned and staffed by immigrant professionals. So will ICE be investigating, obtaining, and incarcerating medical professionals without some due process? Pennsylvania Senator Nikki Saval has introduced legislation prohibiting local police from being used for civil immigration enforcement, including sharing data, inquiring about the status, arresting or detaining individuals without a criminal warrant. I'm recommending that Altoona City Council consider legislation limiting cooperation with ICE activities, much like Allentown, Lancaster, and Pennsylvania and Philadelphia's legislation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. Bear with me here. I'm losing my voice a little bit. Congrats again on the election, guys. Devin Saylor, 1515 25th Avenue. I'm here on behalf today to ask a question for a constituent here, a friend of mine, Christian Delosier, who's working on running a business or a property in a newly zoned neighborhood. So due to the new zoning that was put in place, the property at 3620 Beale Ave is now placed in an RNA zone. And the zone allows for pretty much next to no commercial uses. The property that's been placed in this zone is a garage, and it would be very hard for this building to be retrofitted for a use that would be permitted within this zone. According to the new chart, which I did look at the zoning chart and everything before I came in, it's pretty cut and dry from the most part from what I looked at. You know, the minus symbol pretty much says that this is not allowed. There's an SC which says that there are special exemptions or something that the zoning hearing board could listen to, and then the P would stand for permitted. But there would be no use that would conform to this. And I guess the question I have here today for you guys, or even just for your consideration or thoughts, you know, is there a pathway forward, or, you know, to even go to the zoning hearing board, or moving forward should there be a precedent that when you see that minus symbol, that there is no way to get a variance or so on?
I guess I would ask Mr. Delosier, did you speak with anybody, any staff from City Hall yet? Did you speak with anybody from zoning about this question?
We just found out about it like a couple days ago, so we're just now trying to follow rules.
Yeah, I would start there. I would start with staff. We can touch base with you afterwards and provide you information on who that contact person would be, but then you could go from there and start there, okay?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, thanks, guys. That's all I had.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more public comment, we will close the floor and move on to the resolutions. Linda?
Item A is approving the minutes of the Altoona City Council meeting held Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. Item B is approving the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Altoona and the FOP Mountain City Lodge Number 8 for a 3-year period from January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2028, and further authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item C is awarding a demolition bid for 111 Sixth Avenue to G&R Excavating of Tyrone in the amount of $12,578 payable from the city's Altogether Altoona Fund, and further authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item D is authorizing application to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Financing Authority for the Pennsylvania Local Share Account statewide grant for the replacement of fire hoses and nozzles in the amount of $252,694, and further authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item E is approving a repository bid in the amount of $777 submitted by Mr. Rands of Gaithersburg, Maryland, for property located at 3127 to 33 7th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Is there anything that needs to be pulled for a separate vote or?
E, please.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to take the consent vote first on all items excluding item D. I'm sorry, item E. I knew that. Okay, on the consent vote, Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
Yes.
Councilman Ickes,
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the consent vote passes 7-0. And then we have item E, which is approving a repository bid in the amount of $777 submitted by Mr. Rands of Gaithersburg, Maryland, for property located at 3127 to 33 7th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. I'll call the roll for a vote. Councilman Beatty,
No.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
No.
Councilwoman Klinich,
No.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
No.
Councilman Ickes,
No.
Councilman Kelly,
No.
Mayor Pacifico,
No.
and the vote does not pass. We have two ordinances for for introduction. The first ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Altoona authorizing the city to join with the other political subdivision as a member of the Pennsylvania Municipal Health Insurance Cooperative, known as PMHIC, to enter into an intergovernmental agreement for the purpose of joining the PMHIC and to participate as a member of the PMHIC. Is there a council member who would be willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
This ordinance is introduced by Vice Mayor Ellis. The second ordinance for introduction is an ordinance of the City of Altoona in the County of Blair, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, appropriating specific sums estimated to be required for specific purposes of municipal government hereinafter set forth during the year 2026, and this is known as the 2026 Budget Ordinance. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
This ordinance was introduced by Councilman Ickes.
All right, moving on to city manager updates. Chris?
Nothing for the group tonight, sir.
Thank you. Council discussion items. Councilman Ickes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item. I do want to take a minute and thank our police, firefighters, and AMED. Not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, we experienced a medical emergency at our church, the end of church service. Everyone was on scene in about 3 minutes, and the lady of our congregation was successful in getting the care she needed. Everyone was great, administered aid timely, and heck, you hardly knew that anyone was there. So just want to commend our first responders, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Butterball.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a couple kind remarks there with the passing of Ted Beam. He did a really good job over the years, and he was very faithful, serving on various committees, and even up until about his last day, he was still taking part in activities for the city and doing his part in being community minded, and he's certainly going to be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kelly?
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to offer tonight at this time. Thank you.
Councilman Ellis?
Just to add on to Councilman Butterball's comments, Ted Beam is someone who lived his life as a true public servant, and he will be missed by our community.
Agreed. Councilman Beatty?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Councilwoman Clinch? Nothing at this time. Thank you. Questions from the media? Bill?
Thank you. I intend to talk with Jim after the meeting about the budget to get some details, but would any of the council people like to comment on it in any way, I guess?
The proposed budget bill has its level, so there's no tax increase for this year's budget. It continues the efforts that are outlined in the city's adopted comprehensive plan, addressing targeted demolition for blighted properties, as well as efforts for revitalization. It continues to pay for the services that are essential to the city. I would say that's that.
Okay. Anyone else?
I thought they did a really, everybody worked really well together. Jim did a great job as always. Chris did a great job as always, and everybody worked really well together to put this budget and to have no tax increase and still fulfill the obligations at hand.
Anyone else? Okay. The audit findings that were mentioned by Chris Shyrock, he didn't specify what they are. Can somebody tell me what they are and what one you got rid of from last year?
Bill, I don't have the audit directly in front of me, but I can have that conversation with you Wednesday. I can
Okay.
go over those with you.
Okay.
We're closed tomorrow, that's why, Wednesday.
Yeah, right, and then I know have asked this before, but what does it mean to have a clean audit if you still have findings? I don't quite get that.
Bill, what it means is those findings are not material. I literally I had this same conversation with you last year, so it's
Yeah, I
fun,
know, well, I
it's fun to
forgot.
do it again. But
I'm old, you know.
it's all right. So I mean that endearingly, by the way.
Thank you.
I like to keep friends in the media. Yeah, so it means that the financial statements as presented there's no material impact with the findings that have been found. I don't want to say that the findings aren't significant. Obviously, the city does take any finding seriously in an attempt to correct it, but it doesn't mean that the financial statements presented as a whole, these findings wouldn't have a significant impact on the overall audit as presented.
Okay. I think they ought to just say that instead of using a.
Well,
confusing
there's probably a lawyer or something somewhere that probably came up with that.
Okay. Would anybody care to comment on what Larry Carter said, Larry's statement? Okay. Could I get some details on the police contract?
Once it's signed, I'll sit down with you and go over the details. I don't have the details in front of me, but
Like maybe Wednesday at some point or something like that? Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Meeting adjourned.